afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the American Sports Connection. I am your host, the one and only Joey Railroads. I'm here with my buddy Jason today. How's it going, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing good. We have a very special guest with us today. It is CZW Dojo War's own The Hook, Curt Robinson. How's it going today, Curt?
Doing all right. How are you?
Doing well. Now, for people that really aren't familiar with you, that listen to this show, could you kind of describe yourself?
I am a young professional wrestler that takes everything super serious.
Hey, that's great.
Yeah.
16 years old, right?
Yep.
That's awesome.
That really is. And you were the youngest ever to be in the Best of the Best tournament.
Yep.
Now,
That is right.
what I wanted to know is your experience being in that you're being so young, and you were in a triple threat with
Shane Strickland and Anthony
Henry.
Yep. It was definitely difficult. The fans didn't take it easy on me at all, as they don't do that for anybody. I felt the match went okay. Their styles are a little bit different than mine. Mine's a little bit more of a shooter type style, and they have a little bit more high flying, which it's hard to sometimes adapt to what they have to offer. I think that another opportunity is probably coming up, but I definitely enjoyed my time out there. It was definitely awesome.
Right. I haven't seen the full match, I'll be honest. I've seen clips from CZW's YouTube page, but from what I've seen, it looked like it was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Triple threats are a little bit harder to do.
I bet. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I saw the match, dude. I thought you did great in it, man. You hung in there well with two, guys who, like Shane Strickland especially, is pretty well known in the independent circuit. CZW, and like you said, the styles kind of don't fit as well with you being more of the technical mat type of guy,
Right.
Stronger, more powerful, and they're high flyers. But I thought that you guys, and I was actually researching it earlier, and you guys had the longest match in the first round of the tournament, and actually the longest match other than the finals. So it had to have gone pretty well in everybody's mind for it to go on as long as it did. So I just wanted to compliment you on it. I thought it went really well for your I guess that would be your main card debut, right? CZW's
Yes.
main card debut, and you definitely earned the spot. So as you say, you're the best of Dojo Wars. So
Yeah, I appreciate that.
yeah, it was a really good match, man, and I thought you handled it very well.
Funny story here. I actually got a concussion, I think, during that match.
Oh, wow.
So I was sitting down next to the guardrail, and I didn't know how close Anthony Henry was going to come and how forceful he was going to come with that drop kick, and my head smacked against the guardrail.
Ooh.
Oh.
So I felt fine until after the match, where I came in through the curtain, and I started walking, and it felt like I was walking sideways, and I almost fell over, and I felt fine after that little spell, but then after a couple of days, I started vomiting and stuff, and I had to take a week off or two.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, did that incident there have anything to do with the suspension and Dojo Wars recently?
Oh no, I strangled the referee.
I know, but yeah, that was pretty good too, and I loved your apology too for what you did. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great too.
I had a statement and a couple questions for Curt, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Number one, debut was October 2014, right, against Sozio.
Yes.
And people don't know who Sozio was. Former CZW heavyweight champion, former CZW tag team champion. Used to wrestle as Niles Young, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's pretty big. You made your professional wrestling debut against a known guy. It wasn't like you were just in a gymnasium somewhere wrestling a nobody. You were, thrown in there with a good guy, with a good wrestler, in my opinion. And then just over a week later, you actually wrestled Steve Corino for the WAW Heavyweight Championship down in North Carolina.
Yes.
So your career kind of just came straight out of the gate, with high profile matches, which I think is great. And how do you feel that gave you like an instant push into seasoning you into like almost a trial by fire? Or
well, I know that Sozio didn't take it easy on me at all, and that was definitely a rude awakening.
Yes.
Going through the curtain for the first time, there's nothing that can prepare you to perform in front of a live audience. So I instantly, as soon as I walked through the curtain, I had the match in my head. I was fine. I walked out the curtain, and I just saw a bunch of people like looking at me, and I was like, I have no idea why I'm here, but I love it. And then I got into the ring, and if you really watch the match and see like how I'm getting into the ring, I almost tripped getting up into the ring because of how nervous I am. Like I couldn't feel my legs at all. And then I had to imagine that I was someplace else whenever I looked across the ring and saw Sozio. Me and him are actually not bad friends now. I definitely look at him as a mentor, and I definitely appreciate everything that he's done for me. He's definitely a good guy. And then going down to Carino's the next week, it was definitely a taste of, how hard wrestling really is. I had to go from, getting pummeled to then Steve definitely tested to see how much I could remember. And it was like another funny story here is that I was sitting down in the back of the car on the way back to North Carolina, and I actually forgot something in the match, and I instantly sat up and I was like, the sunset flip, because I forgot the sunset flip in the match, and it totally threw me off.
That's good, though. And I know in the Sozio match, you caught a really clean boot to the face, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
I saw that on the Journey, the documentary that your dad put together with you, which I thought was really good as well. Like the way that's another thing I think you have like a very, very strong support from your parents, your family, and the wrestling community and everything. You've had like a really good push from everybody, and
right.
The Journey I think was awesome.
Them.
Yeah, definitely. Like I know your dad. I'm friendly with your dad. And it's just amazing the support they give you and everything. And I know that has to just, when you go to bed at night and you wake up in the morning knowing that you have them in your corner definitely has to be a big, motivation and a big help at your age,
Because I was going to say, like, a lot of guys, you hear stories that their families are not supportive of them getting in the business.
Well, I know that they probably didn't like it at first, but I think that they've definitely grown to liking it because they see how far I can go, and I definitely appreciate them supporting me 100% of the way. I definitely don't take it for granted.
Definitely, it's good.
Now, I wanted to ask you, Curt, how did you actually get into wrestling? Were you a fan when you were growing up as a kid?
So I basically watched wrestling like basically out of the womb because my dad owned a company called PWF, and they had like shows, like I don't know the frequency of it, but they would take me to the shows and I'd watch wrestling from there. And then he was a manager, and I always like loved how he would get hated and everyone would just like throw stuff at him and he would just be hated. And I was like, why are they hating you? I don't understand it, but I like it. And then in 8th grade, I finished amateur wrestling, and I was like, man, I really want to do something else here because I don't feel like going back to practice. And I was like, man, maybe I should just become a professional wrestler. And I mentioned it to my sister, and then she spilled the beans to my parents, and then they confronted me about it. And I was like, yeah, I do. And then my dad took me to CZW and met DJ Hyde, finished the tryout. I was one of 4 at the time to finish the tryout in the 15 years that CZW was around at that time.
It's awesome. And going forward after that, you were trained by Drew Gulak, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Who's actually competing tonight in the
Cruiserweight
WWE
Classic.
Cruiserweight Classic. Yeah. So that's definitely something that you have on your resume.
Yeah. Yeah. I love Drew and I love his brother. They definitely helped me. I also think of them as mentors. Drew definitely is my main trainer. I couldn't have gotten to where I am right now without him helping. 100%.
Now, the other thing I wanted to ask you, Curt, was, is there a specific wrestler that inspired your style that you have?
Well, at the first start of it was definitely Drew, but I got my name from Curt Hennig. I mixed it between Curt Hennig and Billy Robinson.
Okay.
So I liked those two, and then as soon as I actually got in the ring, and I was watching tapes before I even started training and saw Drew, and I was like, oh, I really like that style. So Drew was basically the first guy that I really wanted to be like. And then I started watching World of Sport wrestling, which is like European type style, and they have a lot of technical wrestling that has entertainment involved with it, which is very hard to perfect, which they really did perfect in World of Sport. I really think that Johnny Saint was there for me, Mike Flash Jordan, all those guys from World of Sport. I really liked all of them. For every match that I've seen, I've usually enjoyed.
I was going to say, because to be honest with you, Curt, when I watched a lot of your matches, and Jason will tell you this because I told him this. When I watch you wrestle, you remind me a lot of a very young heel Kurt Angle.
Yeah, I definitely look at him. I look at Taz, another guy, Tracy Williams. Rory's helped me. Just a whole bunch of guys that I've really just formed into myself.
Yeah. He's talking, Joey. He's talking about Rory. When he says Rory, he's talking about Rory Gulak. That's Drew's brother. Yeah. Just making sure.
Okay, you got it. Something else on your end, Jason?
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask him about the inspiration. Do you pull any inspiration, and how do you feel right now knowing that the current WWE Heavyweight Champion is a guy who is pretty much took the path that you're taking right now, came through the CZW, academy and everything and made his name down there, and now is basically, you can say, is the king of wrestling at this point,
Right. Unfortunately, I never got the chance to meet him, but I definitely think that it's awesome how he got the opportunities that he did. And whenever he got the ball, he ran with it, and that's definitely something that I want to do. If I ever get something like that.
I mean, we were discussing before we came on live with you, me and Joey, that there's a lot of guys who have come through CZW, even just recently, who have taken that next step up to NXT and to WWE. Like, I was just watching NXT last night. You had Biff Busick, who beat Ty Dillinger on NXT. So he's a guy who isn't far out of being a CZW wrestler.
Right.
You have guys like Luke Harper, who was Brody Lee down there. Kevin Owens, obviously, with Kevin Steen down there. There's a number of guys who have made their name down there, who are now wrestling on the biggest stage, who are on WWE television on a weekly basis. And I mean, that's got to be something that you see, and you have to dream that's going to be you, right?
Yes, and even Biff definitely was another guy that I looked at for my style. DJ was actually, DJ Hyde, the owner, was the guy that really wanted me to get out my anger, because whenever I do a tryout, because I'm one of the guys that gives tryouts at CZW whenever people come in, DJ likes it because I'm like a young kid that can just yell at people. So if you watch some of my younger or early matches, so I'm not very angry ever. I'm just going through the motions, and he always wanted me to show a mean streak, and I think last night I definitely showed a mean streak, and I think I'm trying to definitely show anger and show that I'm like aggressive and being angry all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's that teen angst, I guess you would call it, right? They want you to translate that into your in-ring work, and I think you do a good job at it. Like when you come into the ring, you have that anger in your face. You're straightforward, just down to business. Like the whole thing last night with the guy at the Dojo Wars in your match last night. The guy stood up. He threatened to come in the ring, and you shut him down pretty quick. And I that was impressive.
Thank you. Just another douche of a fan.
Yeah.
That thinks that they're a part of the show when they're not.
Yeah, definitely.
I was going to say, I thought your match with Wheeler Yuta from this past May of Dojo Wars, you started to show more of that aggressive streak that you're talking about.
Yeah. I love wrestling with Wheeler. He definitely has a great technical style, and I think that me and him definitely flow in the ring. He's one of my favorite people to wrestle.
Yeah, I like Wheeler too. I like his entrance. I like he's a good young guy. One of the matches that really stood out to me, and it was actually the first time I saw you wrestle in person, was at the Dojo Wars mega event prior to Cage of Death when you wrestled Frankie Picard in the no ropes match. And that match was impressive to me because it has to be difficult to work with no ropes, where you have nothing to bounce off of, you have nothing to gain momentum with. It's just pure athletic ability.
It was crazy. One of the first things that we did was we pushed each other back against, so that we looked like we were pushing each other off the edge.
Yes.
I literally felt like I was going to fall off. And I was like, oh man, I gotta take it real serious here. I literally just had to focus on how wide the ring is without the ropes, and I was like, oh my god, because usually the ropes would catch you if you're going and getting backed up, and the ropes weren't there, and I was like, oh my god, I almost just fell off. Like that would have been terrible. I definitely enjoyed that match. It was a blast. It was definitely an experience. I definitely want to do another no ropes match. It was nothing like I've ever been in. Like I've never been in a ring and wrestled with no ropes like around. Like of course I've set up rings and then the ropes get put on later, but I've never like wrestled in front of people with no ropes, because ropes are also barriers so that people can't see your face as well too. Like if you have somebody in a hold and the camera is trying to zoom in and your eyes are right at the rope level, they can't see that. Well, there's no ropes, so there's no like whips and anything else. So you have to get rid of your corner moves. You have to get rid of the running like attacks. So it's definitely a little bit more difficult.
I was going to say absolutely you would have to watch where you're stepping, because you could think you're closer to the middle than you really are, and maybe turn your ankle or any number of things.
Yeah, I have a question actually. Was there any point in that match where you forgot that the ropes weren't there and almost did a spot with the ropes and then caught yourself and realized I don't really have that?
I think he belly to bellied me, and we weren't like super close to the middle. And like my legs hit the ring apron instead of like being in the center, which I mean that hurt. And then like I remember like sitting up and I just fell to the floor and I was like, holy crap! Like there's no ropes to save me right there.
Yeah, that's definitely has to be like an oh crap moment when you don't have that. I guess you can call it like safety net there. I don't want to there's no safety net, but you know
right.
What I mean.
Yep.
I wanted to ask you, Curt, at your age, do you feel, and I hate using this word, but like a role model in a way for other young kids that want to, like, they didn't think that they could basically get into wrestling as young as you have?
I definitely want to be. I mean, I'm okay with being a role model for people if they want to use me as an example of what they can do at a younger age. I'm okay with that. I've never thought of myself being a role model for other kids. But I know that there's been other kids that I've talked to that were 14, 15 that are like, oh, yeah, I really want to start. And I was like, well, I started then, so you can.
That's a true story, Curt, because I think I was 14, I'll say, and in my 8th grade yearbook, I literally have, my goal is I wanted to be a pro wrestler. Because I thought Arn Anderson was like the coolest guy because he was the
Arn Anderson was awesome. Yep.
And I was just like, yeah, I want to be like him, and so I know what you mean.
Arn Anderson's amazing. Love watching the old Andersons. Ole and Arn just killing people. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
You're a Brainbusters fan, right? I think I saw you in one of the videos wearing a Brainbusters shirt just recently.
Yep.
And he just had a Heenan family shirt on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I know you get all that from like your dad is a big influence in that, right?
Yeah.
I know he's a huge old school wrestling fan, and I actually remember your dad a little bit wearing his sweater tied around with his dyed blonde hair. Like, I remember seeing a little bit of it, and I know that, like you were saying, you touched on earlier that you loved like the heat he would get as the heel manager and everything.
Yep. That's definitely what I'm aiming for.
Yeah.
When people when people come at me and I have something to shut them down and they don't have anything to say back, I'm just like, yeah, like I just wrecked you. You have nothing to say. You have nothing to say.
That's awesome. Because when we were there last night, I mean, when you come out, and we'll clap for you, obviously, because, we're going to root for you and everything.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys were the only people that were clapping.
Yeah, we were. That's what I was going to get at. I was going to ask you, do you like the clapping, or would you rather just not have it because your character is anti, cheers right at this point. You're the heel.
I'm fine either way. I mean, I think that by the end of the match, I don't want you clapping for me. I think that I want you to be booing me and being like, what a scumbag this kid is. Like, he's just so entitled, and, like, he's just so miserable. Like, why is someone that young so miserable? Like, I just don't understand. Like, that's what I want people thinking of.
Do you have another question?
Yeah. Is there a dream match that you have in your mind right now, Curt, that you would love to wrestle, like one specific person?
I'd like to wrestle Drew one-on-one. Drew Gulak one-on-one. I think that would be pretty brutal. I know that I've seen the match between him and Kimberly, and I think that definitely helped her career, and I definitely want something like that. It was just super brutal, and I liked watching it.
Especially now with Drew getting exposure that he's gonna have, in the weeks coming when the Cruiserweight Classic airs, his name is gonna be
everywhere
out there even more. So that probably would be tenfold by then, right? That you would definitely want to be in the ring with him even more.
Right. Yep.
I actually had a question now. I forgot what it was. I'm getting old.
Yeah. Me too.
Now, this is a question about Drew. Drew was the arresting officer when McMahon got arrested on Raw, right?
Yes.
Was that him? Okay, I was just making sure that I had that right. But
yeah, we were wondering about that.
Yeah, that wasn't pertaining to anything important or anything. Yeah, that's good. Now, coming up in the weeks, the month, do you have anything set, like any matches planned, anything any appearances that you can let us know about?
I'm wrestling at Dojo Wars every week, so you can see me there. I have on July 9th, I have CZW in Ohio, which should be a blast. I have I don't know. I think that I'm wrestling, at the next NYWC, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, every week I'm at Dojo Wars.
Yeah, that's, what is that, 190 Harmon Drive in Blackwood, New Jersey, Wednesday?
110 Harmon Drive.
110, I'm sorry. Yeah, 110 Harmon Drive, Blackwood.
304.
Yeah,
Now, is
$5.
is this your first trip out to Ohio for CZW, Curt?
No, this is my second.
Okay.
It was a blast the first time, and I'm hoping for the same result.
Now this is New Heights is actually the show, right? It's in
Yes.
Dayton at the Rockstar Pro Arena, I believe it is.
Yes.
So that'll give you that's going to be an IPPV, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that'll give you more exposure and more of your name and good work getting out there.
Yep.
Now, what else I wanted to ask you is, what does the future hold for Curt Robinson?
Well, I'm probably going to get bigger in size. I'm sure that I'll probably get another opportunity at CZW in the future. My style probably will get more angry. Probably get to other places for wrestling where you'll see my name other places. Other than that, Curt Robinson will stay Curt Robinson. It won't change.
Well, I'll tell you this real quick. Before we did this interview, my son came up to me, and I told him that we were doing this interview. And he goes, "Oh, well, Curt is the best of the best of the best." He's like, "I want him to win the medal."
Yeah. I don't need the medal. I got the trophy.
Yeah,
he's got the trophy.
Now,
nobody can take that from me.
Right. Now, where can people get in contact with you on social media if they want to get a hold of you?
I am at Curt Robinson Pro on Twitter and Instagram and on Snapchat and basically everywhere. On YouTube, you can also follow my dad where I'm featured on a couple of things, youtube.com/Rob Dimension. I am also on YouTube where I post matches once in a great while. If you just look up Curt Robinson, then go to the channels, I'm there. I think that's about it.
All right. Well, that sounds great. I want to thank you for coming on and taking the time to sit down and have a little conversation with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Now, we're going to get out of here for today, so don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and we will see you next time. Take care.